All right, here it is, completed, almost complete. Only thing that we're missing to put on is manifolds, the belts, and of course we got to put the starter on the block once we have everything else in the alternator. So starting from the front to back, basically scrub down any type of original part, the pulleys and stuff like that, sand them down, repainted them. We went from cast iron to aluminum on the water pump. New timing cover as well. Down and see that we went with the same timing indicator here on the timing cover, just to keep with some of the original parts. New oil pan. We switched up from cork to rubber gaskets on the bottom and the valve covers. Making our way up, we went with all new plugs. Obviously the heads got rebuilt, got upgraded springs. They got completely hot tanked, refreshed. We have new head gaskets. From the bottom, or not from the bottom, from the top end is going to be fresh. The intake from cast iron to aluminum. We kind of refinished a couple parts here. Reused this coolant temperature sensor here. I repainted these brackets for the ignition coil, original ignition coil, new distributor. Redid some of the wiring for the ignition coil back here. Repainted, what was this, PCV? This PCV setup back here. Still need to figure out whether this is going to get plugged or we're going to have to figure out a way to re-notch the line back there to fit it back up into here. New valve covers, oil breather. Still got to get an oil breather for the other side. And what else? We put some heat shield covers right here because the manifolds, or the shorty headers are going to be block huggers, so they're pretty tight right here. So just want to keep these ignition wires safe from any type of heat long term. Upgraded the fuel pump. I can put a link for everything that's on this motor in the description if you guys are interested. Got some of these plugs and stuff from Ace. I still got to figure out if these are going to work or if we're going to have to use a 90-degree fitting to make clearance between the chassis and the block, or the pump here. And that's pretty much it. And then of course the comp cam, mother thumper cam's in here. I forget what the lift on that is. Was it like 4 something? I think it was. I think it was like a mid-4s lift. So bottom end pretty much the same, and changed up a couple bottom end components. Went with the upgraded oil pump shaft from the original shaft, just because of the bushing that holds it together fell apart. And that's it. So can't wait to hear this thing start. Excited. It's all good. Nah, it's because it's got a freaking... So coming back to the car, a lot different in here than you last seen it. When I did the original overview video of everything, with the original motor and everything in place, there's a lot of stuff that has changed. Obviously, repainted a lot of the inner moldings and stuff. It's not perfect, just to get some black on there. Some parts you can see a little bit of paint drippage, which I am going to come back and go over some of that later on. The firewall I stitch welded back in. It's my first time really doing any type of like metal work, so it came out okay. I have to scrub out the rust, use some a Bondo, but the edge sealer, and configure the rest of that. Need to finish putting on the windshield wiper motor once I tap new holes for it to bolt up to. All right, let's jump into from front to back what I did. So new radiator, aluminum radiator from Summit. I got all new hoses. I just pieced up different hoses. It took a couple different tries to find the right hoses to fit. Painted the original fan blade. Painted the original, this pulley here was repainted. Crankshaft pulley was repainted. I repainted all that stuff, primered and painted it. It's not perfect, good enough from here. I just was trying to save some money on the back end. Cut these lines, custom lines, cut them to size, put fuel injection style clamps on them instead, replace the clamps on these. Water pump, been through 2 different water pumps. They're both leaking from the housing. I'm trying to figure out why. Obviously it's factory sealed, so if I take this one off, I'm gonna have to reseal it, even though it should come from factory 100%. You have to stay away from some brands. Either looking at going with a different brand or resealing this one, depending, which is going to be mainly decided on the other issue that's up here, which I'll get into later. These original heater core hoses, reused some old clamps, just cleaned them up. This fuel line right here is not going to be permanent. I'm going to bend out a hard line so that it looks clean. This is just temporary for now. New belts. Obviously had to, reuse these brackets for the alternator. It's not that great. I still get a little bit of play here, so I need to figure out. I did make an extra bracket here. I welded a bracket that bolts to the header here, which you can see, but that's not good enough, so I'm gonna order a custom bracket. Most of the custom brackets are bolted off the heads, but these heads don't have holes to really utilize, so I got to figure out a couple things and see what I can do in regards to that to make it pretty tight. The power steering pump is the original pump. I just threw some paint on there. It was leaking. I put some stop leak in there for now. I might change the pump out altogether, most likely later on. Put a new timing pointer in here. It was meant for a 6, 7, 8 inch balancer, harmonic balancer. I'm gonna get a different one. That way it's easier to read. It's a little too far from the harmonic to really read properly. So I changed that out. The pulley, I cleaned this one up. Use some chrome polish, or not some chrome polish, some aluminum polish. Obviously got dirty from touching it. I put this new alternator in here from I forget what the name is. Power something. I did all these wires, so I custom made this wire, had it run under here, come all the way to the front. So I bolted 3 different wires here. One's for the alternator, one's for the starter, and one is to run all the accessories, headlights, all that stuff. Fuel pump, aftermarket fuel pump. Found these fittings from Ace. Obviously I got all the hosing and cut it out and used the clamps. Some things still got to change. I got these block huggers from 18 Performance. They're not that great because they're too tight to the block. We might change that around. The wires are very tucked in there. They could pose a problem later on. So might go something different depending. The motor mounts, polyurethane motor mounts, that was pretty much mandatory. The old motor mounts are blown out, and I prefer go polyurethane than rubber, because rubber deteriorates a lot faster. Polyurethane will kind of, you know, prevent that loss of torque and give it a lot more snappiness. So went with the Edelbrock, the 4-barrel Edelbrock. I think it was 750 CFM, and then the Edelbrock intake, which, you know, the Edelbrock still needs to get tuned. We've changed the air cleaner. We found this sticker from MPD to kind of match with the 283 motor, 283 power plant. You guys are gonna hear the idle that I'll cut into the video so you guys can see what it sounds like. Oh look, there you go. There's a problem right here. Check it out. Oh no, it's just the spring came off a little bit. Put that back soon. There's still a bunch of finalized stuff that I need to do. Changed out the ignition coil, and also disconnect the condenser. I guess, you know, obviously I didn't need that. Got an oil pressure line I still need to connect back here. Stock distributor, stock OEM replacement distributor is back there. So running the same brake booster. I need to paint this still. Valve covers from MPD. Got Edelbrock oil fill. Got these valve cover spacers, or space loader, my bad, load spreaders. Those are mandatory. If you do not run these, you will have oil leaks, which I found out real quick, is that I had an oil leak. And some more ground wires that I did to the block. I did another set of ground wires that runs from the block to the frame and from the block to the battery, just to make sure everything's completely grounded. Most vehicles I've came across do not have the proper grounding. There's a vacuum line sitting back there. That's for the vacuum gauge inside. You guys can see the exhaust tubing. I'll tie in a video to show the whole exhaust layout. And trying to think. Okay, so now what we can't see. From the bottom, change the oil pump shaft. Put the longer, not the one-piece shaft, because before originally it's a two-piece shaft, and it has a little plastic retainer that holds it together, and that'll break so easy. So replaced that, did the rear main seal. So obviously took off the main bearing cap, retorqued everything. Oil pan, which I have an issue with the oil pan gasket leaking right now from the rear, and I tried to fuck with it a couple times, but it will still have an issue. The cam, the comp cam, thumper cam, which I explained in the beginning of their intro video. Lifters, push rods, springs, rebuilt heads. We went bigger on the intake valves from what they were at for the stock 283. So this is kind of like piecing together a couple different things. So I think that pretty much sums up most of the internal stuff. And I cleaned off the cylinders. All the cylinders got cleaned off, made everything presentable, cleaned off all the carbon deposits and stuff. What we're doing now, 4 issues actually. Tuning, okay. Second issue, I have some type of crankshaft noise, not crankshaft noise, like a noise up here that you can hear while it's running, that it's making noise. I'll put a video in there. That's pretty much making it hard to diagnose because it's in this area. This pulley was loosened up a little bit. I did tighten it up and it's good, but it still makes a little bit of noise. So I don't know if it's the harmonic. I saw that some 283s, because you have two different types of 283 options. You have the 283 with the 2-barrel and 283 with the 4-barrel. So the 2-barrel only made 195 horsepower. The 4-barrel made 215. Now, between the 2-barrel, 4-barrel, apparently they ran different types of harmonics. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I'm just spitballing here. I'm hoping to get more insight from Pacific Carburetor, because the guy Bill there has a lot of information. So, yeah, so noise up here. Number 3 is the oil leak. And then 4 is the water pump leak. So water pump, I'm just holding off for now. I've already resealed this twice. This has been perfect to the block, but this housing right here, this back plate, has leaked the last couple of times. So I'm trying to mitigate that and change it only one more time, because I'm getting too professional at changing them out. A lot of dirtiness happened. It's been really windy, and the car had a cover over it, but some days the cover wasn't on. So but I did protect. I had everything sealed up here, so some dirt was able to just sit down here. So I'm gonna go do a once over and clean everything up once I get around to it. Oh look, piece of candy. So windshield washer bottle, clean this glass bottle and refilled it with some coolant, oil dipstick, new stall, did a 2000 stall in the back of there to go with the cam. That's what Comp Cam recommended, so I put a 2000 stall in there. That's pretty much that was pretty much just another Summit find. And then I rewired everything got pretty much rewired. Most of the wiring got scrubbed, redid the ground. So try to rewire everything, that way everything's fresh and there's no surprises. I don't want to work with old wiring. There's still a lot of finalizing to do with the wiring, which I will get to. There's some stuff I want to redo that didn't come out that great. So that's kind of like my next thing. Once I get it running decent, come back in here, finish the rest of the stuff I have to do. But Tuesday we have a tune day, so I am excited. Hopefully they give me some news and let me know, if we can get this thing running right. It's already been broken in. Oil's already been changed. I haven't found any issues. And the matter of it going into drive and reverse, it kind of just stalls out. But I think that's kind of up to idle speed too. So I'm looking for professional advice once I go to the shop. If you guys have anything to add to this and to what I'm doing, it's my first time doing all this. So this is all fresh, brand new for me. I can only find what I see on the internet and through a couple people that I know, but we're almost there. I'm excited. Oh yeah, and fan shroud. Definitely need a fan shroud. Too much space. So thanks guys for watching. I appreciate your continued support, and I hope that we can have this thing running good for my dad, and I can also enjoy it a little bit, hit some car shows. Just waiting patiently, being patient. It's the biggest thing. All right guys, have a good weekend.